All right, Murim addicts, if you're tired of rereading Nanomachine for the 7th time and waiting for manwha chapters like it's a sacred ritual, today I've got you covered. Here are 8 criminally underrated Murim manwhas with insane martial arts, wild world building, and enough plot twists to send your Dantian into shock. If you like this recommendation, you know what to do. Number 1 on our list is Escort Warrior. Looking for a manwha where the MC has a face colder than your ex's heart? Meet our guy. Once a legendary military commander swinging a broadsword like he's swatting flies. But then, plot twist, he gets smacked on the battlefield, injured, and saved by a Jang family doctor. Yes, a doctor, not a healer goddess. Now, instead of commanding troops, he's protecting Jang Run, a young lady who probably has more enemies than friends. This manwha tells the story of a young lady of a family and a cold-face escort warrior. The art? Think rugged warriors, sharp blades, and more intense glares than a K-drama love triangle. If you love action with just the right amount of bittersweet humor, Escort Warrior is your next binge.
Second number on the list is Weak Teacher. Picture this. Gui Myandak, yes, that dude, was once the leader of the fearsome Black Flower Group, feared by every sword slinger and key puffer in the Murim world. This guy could probably bench press a tiger while eating kimchi. Then, after taking down a big bad evil group, he gets invited to teach kids? Yep. So instead of decimating villain mobs, he's now trying to teach a bunch of young martial artists how to punch, kick, and not accidentally explode their chi. And because life loves ironies, Gui plays the weak, humble teacher in front of the students, low-key trying to sneak in naps between lessons, but secretly he's stronger than pretty much everyone else. The tension between his dusty instructor vibes and the students' wide-eyed ambitions? Comedy gold. The world building is classic Murim. Secret clans, backstabbing rivals, inner strength techniques, and everyone thinks they're living the toughest life ever, until Gui breathes a little too hard. Art is dynamic and hilarious, especially those teacher versus student face-offs. Trust me, this one hits different.
Third number on the list is Murim's youngest miracle demon doctor, also known as What If Murim Doctors Stopped Being NPCs and Became Absolutely Broken? In the Orthodox sect, there's a legendary divine doctor. In the unorthodox sect, there's an equally legendary demonic doctor. Now imagine these two mortal enemies looked at each other and said, "Enemies to lovers?" Yes, they got married. From this medical power couple comes Dan Axeon, a kid born with the combined medical genius of both sides of Murim. Divine healing? Check. Demonic medicine? Check. Moral alignment? Questionable. Just as Axeon is minding his business being a prodigy, a mysterious absolute master shows up, and boom, his peaceful life ends instantly. Murim here actually feels alive. You've got orthodox versus unorthodox politics, sect rivalries, poison clans, and medical ethics debates that somehow turn into fistfights. The art is clean, expressive, and surprisingly detailed when it comes to medical techniques. Yes, even acupuncture looks cool. If you want a Murim story where healing is just as deadly as killing, this one's a must-read. Fourth number on the list is the Great Sage of the Namgun clan. Yes, that's Sun Wukong. The Monkey King himself gets sent back to the mortal realm, only to realize demons are basically extinct, and Murim masters have taken over like it's a martial arts LinkedIn. While hunting for Tong San Zong's lost soul, Wukong runs into reincarnations of his old allies, shady inner power systems, and a conspiracy where former demons are now running the show in human bodies. The world building is wild, ancient mythology mixed with classic Murim politics, and the art, clean, sharp, and brutal when it needs to be. Watching a god adapt to Murim rules is chef's kiss.
Number 5 is the world's best Kunlun Tavern. Byakwu masters the sacred art of grand clarity, one of the Kunlun clan's most legendary techniques. Peak cultivator moment, right? Except He wakes up 100 years later and realizes the world has moved on, and so has relevance. So what does he do? Seek revenge? Become a demon lord? Nope. Bro starts to work in a tavern and becomes a chef, participates in culinary competitions, and made #1 tavern in Murim world. And somehow, his noodles are so good they can morally reform the divine demon of the bloody heaven. The world building is light but charming, blending classic Murim politics with slice-of-life comedy, and the artwork is clean, expressive, and perfect for comedic timing.
Ever wondered what would happen if the village idiot suddenly became the strongest swordsman alive? Yeah, the 6th manhwa on the list is the undefeatable swordsman. Meet Song Woo Moon, a guy whose brain literally malfunctions because of a mysterious painting gifted by a sage. Instead of becoming wise or powerful, Woo Moon grows up as the village's official punching bag. Even his own parents feel sorry for him. Harsh? Absolutely. When Woo Moon turns 20, his brain finally reconnects, and boom, he awakens god-tier sword skills that were sealed inside the painting all along. Turns out the painting isn't just wall decor, it's basically a cheat code for becoming unstoppable. Now let's talk world building. This manhwa is set in a classic Murim world. Clans, sects, martial politics, and enough rival factions to start a small war every 5 chapters. But what makes it fun is how Woo Moon completely breaks the power system. While everyone else trains for decades, this guy casually rewrites the rules. And the artwork? Clean, sharp, and incredibly satisfying. Sword swings feel heavy, fights are dynamic, and the expressions perfectly balance comedy and intimidation. One moment you're laughing, the next you're like, yeah, he's definitely about to end someone's career. If you love overpowered main characters, martial arts chaos, and a glow-up so extreme it should be illegal, the undefeatable swordsman is 100% worth your time.
7th on the list is World's Greatest Senior Disciple. This one asks a very simple question. What if the strongest guy in the war just went home? Hyuk Musong, a senior disciple from a countryside martial academy, disappears for 5 years after a brutal war. Everyone assumes he's dead. Surprise? He's alive, traumatized, and comes back home only to find his academy destroyed by what is basically a discount villain gang. The story mixes guilt, rage, and political chaos, showing that the war didn't really end, it just changed locations. The world building feels grounded and heavy, with realistic consequences instead of power fantasy shortcuts, and the artwork is clean, gritty, and serious, perfect for a darker Murim story. The 8th manhwa is called Warrior Grandpa and Grandmaster Daughter. And yes, the title already tells you this is not your average edgy revenge story. The story follows Liu Jinshan, a senior martial artist who's basically ready to die peacefully. Except Murim says nope. His entire family gets wiped out, leaving him with just one goal in life: stay alive long enough to raise his granddaughter, Liu Sol. And mind you, this man is old, tired, and held together by sheer willpower and internal energy. While Grandpa is struggling, like, why do my knees crack louder than thunder techniques, Liu Sol casually grows up to be a once-in-a-generation martial arts prodigy. And that's when you realize this is a reverse Murim power fantasy, and it works beautifully. The world building is classic Murim done right. Sects, clans, martial hierarchies, but instead of endless politics, the focus is on family, legacy, and survival. It feels lived in without overwhelming you with lore dumps. As for the artwork, it's clean, expressive, and surprisingly warm. The fight scenes are fluid, but the real strength is in the character expressions, especially Grandpa's eternal mix of pride, fear, and back pain. If you're tired of cold-blooded MCs and want a Murim story with heart, humor, and wholesome chaos, Warrior Grandpa and Grandmaster Daughter deserves a spot on your reading list. Trust me, this one hits harder than a forbidden technique, emotional.
If you love underdog stories, insane power-ups, and watching arrogant enemies get humbled, and tired of generic top 10 OPMC suggestions, and want real storytelling, insane world building, and fire artwork, go read these right now. And hey, like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next manhwa breakdown, because your reading list is about to get stacked.